Hey there guys, so since I'm in the process of recording my Hitman Blood Money Let's Play series, I'm about midway through it now, got a few more levels to do and record. I figured I'd do a movie review for the Hitman movie that came out in 2007. Now, there have been two movies based on the Hitman video game franchise, and this one released in 2007, in my personal opinion, is the better of the two. However, that isn't saying much, okay? Let me just start by saying, yeah, that isn't really saying much. I mean, probably the nicest thing that I can say about this movie, and I mean the nicest thing, is that it's not the worst video game movie of all time. In fact, not even close. In fact, I would say that there has probably never been a movie that was good that was based on a video game. And I've seen many movies that were based on video games. I haven't liked a single one. I'm thinking of games, movies like Alone in the Dark, fucking Tomb Raider. I used to like the first Resident Evil when I was a kid, but nowadays I look back at that movie, it wasn't very good. It was pretty shit, to be honest. But for whatever reason, I was a strange child. I used to like weird movies, and I used to like that one. But I digress. Not the worst video game movie of all time. It's also not the worst action movie of all time. I've seen a lot of movies worse than this. In fact, there are a few things about this movie which I do enjoy. I mean, the action sequences, they're not bad. Some of the practical effects, practical squibs are quite nice. There's some cool shootouts in this movie. But the problem here, in my opinion, is how do you make a movie based on the Hitman franchise? I never understood why you would even attempt to, because the whole thing about Hitman, if you guys have ever played the Hitman series, and if you've ever sort of indulged yourself in that game and its lore, you basically play as a genetically engineered super assassin, a killing machine, a man who was literally bred for murder. So, how do you make a movie about that? How do you get fans to, resonate with a character like that? How do you get them to, what's the word I'm looking for? How do you get audiences to buy into that? How do you get the everyday moviegoer to relate to a character like that? To just a genetically engineered clone, a guy that was bred to be an assassin. I mean, the whole thing about the games was you take control of the character, and it was all about strategy and careful planning and carrying out your missions using your brain, your intellect, and dispatching of targets. And it was all about stealth, and it was all about preparation and all that stuff, and it was just a really intellectually stimulating game. I have every Hitman game ever made, and I'm a big fan of the series, and I just never understood how you could make a movie based on that. And that's the problem with this movie. It doesn't make any sense, okay? Agent 47 in this movie does things that the character from the game would never do. One of the biggest problems with this movie, and it's something that a lot of movies do, and it fucking annoys me when it's so unnecessary, they have to add sort of a love interest for Agent 47. Now, they don't actually fall in love, they don't actually have a relationship, but you know how these movies, they always have to implement somehow, and for some reason, they have to implement a female character for the lead role to sort of fall for and have a bit of back and forth with, and have a sort of a will they won't they love interest. And in a fucking Hitman movie, in a movie about Agent 47, about Hitman, you add a love interest? Really? A potential love interest? Not only that, but I mean, the things that he does, like there's a scene where there's a cop that's seen his face. He's sort of like this Interpol agent who's been tracking him, and he sees Hitman. He's been on his case for 3 years, and Hitman gets a chance to kill this guy and basically, wipe the slate clean. Once this guy's out the way, he'll be, a free man again. Nobody will track him down because no one else knows what he looks like. And she says to him, she's like, please don't do it. And he's like, okay, I won't do it. Or he says, she saved your life. And he walks away. I'm like, wait, what? This is fucking Hitman. I'm like, It doesn't make any sense. There's other things too, like some quirky dialogue, like back and forths, where they joke about foreplay and stuff like that. There's a scene where he like takes her out to dinner, but he's only using her to get to a target and stuff like that. Um, I did like the way that he dispatches of some of his targets, but again, when it ends up in a situation where it's a big shootout and there's like slow motion scenes with him carrying like two machine guns and shooting all these thugs, I get that it's an action movie and you're trying to have some badassery, but I think back to playing the Hitman games. It was never like that. It was never that intense. The Hitman games, you could have a shootout if you wanted, but the whole thing about those games, was to try and get the best score possible by being stealthy and discreet. And I mean, there's a scene at the start of this movie where he's planning an assassination, and they say to him, "This assassination needs to be in public. You need to shoot this guy in public." And Hitman's just kind of like, I planned something more subtle. I made preparations. And I'm thinking to myself, that's exactly like the game. The game was all about subtlety and preparation. And this movie has none of that. So it has none of the charm that the game had. It has none of the intellectually stimulating experiences that the game had. The game was an experience. This is just a copy and paste action movie, and it doesn't suit the character of Hitman. Also, the acting in the movie is quite bad. I mean, there are some good actors in the movie, like actors like Robert Nepper, for example, from the series Prison Break. I really like that show. He's in this movie as one of the villains. Um, the woman, I can't remember her name. It's like Olga something, the Ukrainian chick who was in the Johnny English movie, the last one. She's in this movie and she's a decent actress. She does a decent job. Her acting is actually a lot better than than the guy who plays Hitman, Timothy Olyphant. I remember he was also in Die Hard 4. He played the villain in that. Well, he plays Hitman here. He doesn't look like Hitman. He doesn't sound like Hitman. He doesn't act like Hitman. He has a similar sort of like size and body type to Hitman. Like, he's a very big, heavy set, muscular guy. But his acting and his voice, and even the fact that he has a shaved head. Hitman doesn't have a shaved head. Hitman's a skinhead. He has no hair. And this guy has a shaved head, and he just doesn't look the part, in my opinion. Doesn't sound the part. Better actor, in my opinion, than the other guy who played Hitman in the other Hitman movie. I might even review that one. That one was even worse. But yeah, the acting in this movie from the lead character, not very good. Again, he has a good supporting cast. Even the guy who plays the Interpol agent who's tracking him down, he's a Scottish guy. I've forgotten that guy's name, but he's a Scottish dude, and he plays the Interpol agent. I actually liked his character and was actually rooting for him more than Hitman. I didn't root for Hitman in this movie. I didn't like the character. I didn't like the way he was portrayed. I didn't like the actor. He seemed irrational to me. Seemed like he was trying to be cold and ruthless, but at the same time he's doing like little cliche hero movie stuffs, like trying to save the woman and the love interest. Ugh. And again, her acting was good. She did a good job in the movie, but the lead role didn't do it for me. The movie's soundtrack is okay, but has nothing on the fantastic Jasper Cade soundtrack from the video games. Overall, disappointing movie. I give this movie a 5 out of 10. It's just below average. Yeah, and stay tuned for my Hitman Blood Money Let's Play series. It's on my other channel, by the way, my gaming channel. I might leave a link to it. There's a link to it on my main page anyway, so I might leave a link to that. It's Nordic Warrior Gaming. I'm going to be uploading the rest of my Hitman Blood Money Let's Play series. I've just got a few more levels to record, so let me know what you guys think about that, and what do you think of this movie, guys? And thanks for watching. God bless.